The question came out of nowhere, sharp as a sudden crack of thunder on a quiet morning. The elegant woman standing in front of him, one of the most powerful CEOs in the city, looked directly into his tired eyes and asked the one question no one had ever dared to ask him before. "Why won't you date me?" For a moment, the busy cafe seemed to freeze. Cups stopped clinking. Conversations blurred into silence in his ears, and the sunlight pouring through the glass windows felt strangely heavy on his shoulders. The single father standing there, holding his daughter's tiny pink backpack, didn't look like a man who belonged in the attention of someone like her. Yet the question lingered in the air like a challenge. And when he finally answered, the truth that came out shocked her in a way she never expected. Before we begin this emotional journey, take a second to support the channel. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us of the power of love, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Heartfelt Stories. Your support helps these stories reach more hearts. The man's name was Adrien Cole. At 34, he looked older than his years, not because life had been long, but because it had been heavy. His days started before sunrise and rarely ended before midnight. Every morning he woke up in a small apartment painted with crayon drawings on the walls, evidence of the tiny human who meant everything to him. His 6-year-old daughter, Nora, to the world, Adrien was just another maintenance worker at the towering headquarters of a tech company downtown. He cleaned hallways, fixed flickering lights, repaired broken doors, and quietly disappeared into the background of other people's busy lives. Most employees barely noticed him, but Nora noticed everything. She noticed the way he always packed her lunch with a tiny note inside. She noticed how he read bedtime stories, even when his eyes struggled to stay open. She noticed how he smiled, even when his hands were rough and tired. Adrien had been raising Nora alone since she was 2. Her mother had left suddenly one winter morning. No warning, no explanation. Just a quiet goodbye that echoed through their lives long after she was gone. Adrien never spoke badly about her, even when people asked. Instead, he simply worked harder, loved deeper, and made a silent promise to his daughter that she would never feel abandoned again. Every day after dropping Nora at school, Adrien walked 3 blocks to the towering glass building where he worked. That building belonged to Celeste Arden, the CEO who had built her billion-dollar company from the ground up. Celeste was admired everywhere. Magazines called her brilliant, fearless, unstoppable. She was the kind of woman who commanded rooms without raising her voice. Investors trusted her instincts. Competitors feared her strategy, and the media followed every move she made. But despite all her success, Celeste often felt an emptiness she couldn't explain. Her life was perfectly organized. Board meetings, interviews, business flights, award ceremonies. Yet when the evenings came and the city lights glittered outside her penthouse window, the silence inside her home felt louder than the busiest conference room. And strangely, the one person who seemed completely immune to her status was Adrien. She had first noticed him months earlier. One afternoon, while walking to the lobby after a stressful meeting, she saw Adrien sitting on a bench beside a little girl in a yellow dress. The girl was crying softly, her small shoulders shaking. Adrien didn't panic. He didn't rush her. Instead, he knelt down at eye level and gently tied her shoelace while speaking softly. A moment later, he pulled a crumpled napkin from his pocket and drew a tiny smiling sun on it. Nora giggled through her tears. Celeste had watched the entire moment from a distance. For reasons she couldn't explain, that simple scene stayed with her longer than any business victory that day. Over the next weeks, she began noticing him more often. He always carried Nora's backpack when picking her up from the daycare on the first floor. He always greeted the security guards politely. And no matter how exhausted he looked, his daughter always seemed to feel safe beside him. Celeste had met countless men in her life. Powerful investors, ambitious executives, charming entrepreneurs. But something about Adrien felt different. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He simply loved his daughter. That quiet strength fascinated her. One afternoon, during a company charity event, Nora ran across the lobby chasing a paper airplane Adrien had folded for her. The airplane accidentally glided straight toward Celeste. The little girl froze in embarrassment when it landed at the CEO's feet. Instead of ignoring it, Celeste picked it up and crouched down with a warm smile. That moment became the beginning of something unexpected. After that day, Celeste occasionally stopped to talk with Nora. The child's innocent questions about big offices and important work made Celeste laugh in ways she rarely did anymore. Adrien, however, always remained respectful and distant, polite, grateful, but careful. Months passed. Celeste found herself thinking about him more often than she cared to admit. And then came the day she finally asked him. It was a bright afternoon, sunlight spilling across the cafe near Nora's school. Adrien had just finished fixing a broken elevator at the office and had stopped to pick up Nora. Celeste had followed them there after a meeting. She walked into the cafe, calm but determined. Adrien looked up in surprise when he saw her approaching their table. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she asked a question that changed everything. "Why won't you date me?" Adrien froze. Not because he hadn't heard the question, but because he had been hoping she would never ask it. The cafe grew quiet in his mind as memories flooded back. Lonely nights, broken promises, a child depending on him for everything. He looked at Nora, who was happily coloring beside them. Then he took a deep breath and told the truth. He explained that his life wasn't simple. Being a father meant every decision he made revolved around his daughter's heart. He had watched someone walk out of Nora's life once, and the pain in her tiny eyes had nearly broken him. He couldn't risk bringing someone into their world unless he was certain they would stay. And dating a powerful CEO felt like stepping into a world that might disappear just as quickly as it arrived. He wasn't afraid of rejection. He was afraid of hope. The honesty in his words struck Celeste harder than any criticism ever had. For the first time in years, someone wasn't impressed by her title or her success. He was simply protecting his child. And in that moment, she realized something profound. Adrien wasn't rejecting her. He was guarding the most precious thing in his life. Days turned into weeks after that conversation. Celeste didn't pressure him again. Instead, she began showing up, not with grand gestures, but with quiet consistency. She attended Nora's school play, sitting in the back row unnoticed. She dropped off books Nora loved. She even learned how to fold paper airplanes. Slowly, Adrien saw something he hadn't expected. She wasn't trying to enter their lives with power. She was entering with patience. One warm Saturday morning in the park, Nora ran ahead chasing pigeons, while Adrien and Celeste walked side by side beneath tall trees, glowing in the sunlight. For the first time, Adrien allowed himself to believe that maybe some people didn't leave. Maybe some people stayed. And sometimes the strongest love stories don't begin with perfect timing or perfect circumstances. Sometimes they begin with a simple question and a brave, honest answer. Before we end this story, if this journey touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Heartfelt Stories so we can keep bringing meaningful stories like this to you.